I love summer. But let's be real. These months are chaotic. Between childcare and camp drop-offs, weddings, planning for long weekends so you can enjoy the long weekend. My schedule, your schedule, it's all over the place. But you know, I am not letting that change my priorities. Y'all have heard me say that I actually haven't skipped 2 workouts in a row in over 10 years, except for when I gave birth to Athena and Atlas. Yeah, that's not motivation, y'all. That's strategy. Today, I'm letting you in on my summer consistency strategy. This is how I keep up with my fitness goals when things get messy. Number 1, shift the bar. Don't abandon it. If you can't fit in your usual 60-minute workout, do 20, do 15. Do 10 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon. Pick up the pickleball racket, right? Like, it doesn't need to be perfect. If dinner isn't perfectly balanced, make sure there's protein on your plate in some way, shape, or form. Bring the protein powder in your purse, right? Like, you have a way to make it happen and still enjoy life. Progress loves consistency, but it doesn't need perfection. Number 2, decide before the day decides for you. Look at your calendar each Sunday and ask, when am I moving my body this week? Put those workouts in your calendar like meetings. And yes, I mean even on weeks when you don't have your normal schedule. If you're traveling, decide before you leave exactly what movement looks like in the hotel gym. Is it a walk? Is it a body weight circuit? Is it a rest day? All of that is okay as long as it's realistic and it's couched in what you're actually able to accomplish based on that schedule in the upcoming week. 3, keep one habit non-negotiable. Maybe it's your step count. Maybe it's getting in at least 10 minutes a day of vigorous movement. Maybe it's lifting 3 times a week, including in a hotel gym when you don't have your perfect setup. It's better to get it done than berate yourself for it not being perfect or the length of time that you traditionally would have done. Maybe it's eating protein at breakfast. That is huge. Most folks are getting over 65% of their protein at dinner. Let's space it out throughout the day. When everything else feels unpredictable, one consistent habit keeps you connected to the person you're becoming. It becomes your anchor. So figure out what that's going to be for you and keep it consistent. Number 4, build a travel version of your routine. I don't try to recreate my life on vacation. I'm the kind of person who personally loves working out on vacation. That might not be you. And if you want to take a week or 2 weeks off of your working out schedule, baby, live your life. Live your best life. I personally create a vacation routine. So I have some element of morning movement, and usually Drew and I are switching off. So it's not going to be like this super, super lengthy workout that I would love to do, even though I love vacation workouts, and my husband does too. But it'll probably be like 30, 45, maybe 60 minutes, or maybe it's going to be like a 30-minute lift, and then I'll try to get some steps in throughout the day. So for me, it's morning movement, plenty of water, protein first. Protein first. I can feel I'm actually more irritable when I don't eat protein. That's how much my muscles crave it. Even if I'm calorically getting enough fuel, I can tell if my body's not getting enough protein. Drew and I are having smoothies the other day, and we had nothing but I think we had pretty much nothing but carbs and fat for the whole day. And in the afternoon, we finally dumped some protein powder and had a smoothie. And I was like, is it me? Or do you feel like this is just like going into your muscles? She's like, no, I feel like it's going into our muscles. And I was like, oh my God, we're so those people. Like, we are caricatures of ourselves, but I don't care because I thought it was true. But listen, we have to live. We got to enjoy flavors. You're getting the dessert with dinner. You're going and, trying the random local things at shops, right? Like, or just experiencing, something out of your routine. It's totally okay. You can do that without guilt. Different doesn't mean derailed, though. So you can build a little mini version of what makes you feel like yourself so you can actually enjoy those moments outside of your normal life even more. Number 5, don't sacrifice awe. It's the summer of awe, y'all remember? We talked about this last week. It applies here too. Maybe an old friend asks you to go for a walk during the window you saved for your workout. If you want to say yes, that's okay, right? Like, maybe the social obligation is being swapped for something that would have been a really strict movement practice. That counts for us to remain connected. In fact, it could be just as beneficial to your health as a hard workout. Now we're going to switch it up a little bit because this is actually an important point that came up in a recent conversation I had with the legendary journalist, Kara Swisher. Y'all already know I was in France for Cannes last month where I interviewed Eva Longoria. You can find our interview in the feed. This is another great conversation that I knew I needed to record on the ground. Kara Swisher is the host of 2 top podcasts, Pivot and On with Kara Swisher. She is a New York Times bestselling author. She's been called the most feared and well-liked journalist in Silicon Valley. And she just reported a docuseries for CNN all about longevity and what actually matters, called Kara Swisher Wants to Live Forever. And we definitely got into that. Kara investigated all the science and tried all the tech bro optimization hacks so we don't have to. So of course, I needed to get her takeaways for the Project Swagger toolkit. I love Kara. Her vibe is different than mine. She's somebody I deeply admire, and she really delivers important reminders rooted in community and things that are actionable for our everyday lives, for us not to just live longer, but live more intentionally with those added years. Here's our conversation. Kara Swisher, welcome to Project Swagger. Thank you for being here, making your way through Cannes.
I know, I'm sweating just for you.
We're sweating, and we're going to talk about longevity, so maybe it's apropos. Yeah. Let's talk about your most consistent daily habit.
Well, now it's walking. I know it sounds crazy, but there's a lot of, I did this series for CNN.
Yes, we'll talk about that.
One of the things that I was trying to do was show how regular people cannot overthink exercise, although exercise, as you know, is critically important, but sort of the small movements they can make to move towards that. And one of them is always moving after you eat, like in some walk fashion. It doesn't have to be really fast. It doesn't have to be sweaty, just to get your body going.
Are you tracking it? Like, are you a step count person?
No, because I don't. What does 10,000 steps mean? Like, I don't think it means anything. And I think one of the things I've been fighting against is sort of the obsession with data. And I think it's too much. Like, especially men. I hate to say it. They tell you, and it's like it doesn't have any meaning whatsoever on people's lives. Now, some of it's yes, absolutely moving your heart rate. Heart rate, like VO2 max, I think is important. It's something they do at Peloton a lot, up and down the scale. I think is really important. But I think in general, we over-index on data and not enough about the actual acts we can do individually through the day that are manageable for people.
And like trading intuition for these data points?
Well, it's not so much intuition. It's that they basically sell your health back to you in a lot of ways that is just not helpful for most people in general. And so I really would, this idea that you have to buy everything is really a problem for me. And so I was trying to find things that are happening both scientifically, which are groundbreaking, and at the same time, some of the stuff on social media that's nonsense that just doesn't really help you at all. And a lot of it actually is quite dangerous.
Okay, so what's the biggest red herring or BS
well, it's
thing?
Little ones. It's how much things do for you. Like red light, it's fine, but it does not solve every. It's literally like it's going to solve every problem known to man, and most of the data on it is skimp. One thing that I think is dangerous is this push towards hyperbaric chambers for regular people. If you don't have the bends or have a wound, you really shouldn't do it. But they sell it for hundreds of dollars a session.
Yes, in New York City, it's like $300.
If you have a little oxygen, a lot more is right. It just doesn't. It's like not true. It's just there's just very little scientific evidence.
I call it majoring in the minors. It's like if you haven't cleaned up the basics of sleep and hydration and movement, who cares if your red eye mask works or not?
Absolutely perfectly. It's some of it's just obsession and sort of making you think that you're making it's productivity. It's action versus productivity, and I think there's a lot of activity versus productivity. The other one that I think drives me crazy is this peptide craze. Now, GLP-1s are really interesting, and they're showing incredible promise. And look, 1 in 8 people in the United States, for example, are using these. There's all these issues, these things around cancer, all this interesting stuff happening. At the same time, there's this whole craze of taking all the peptides and doing it with, off-the-shelf stuff that they get, and a lot of it is from China. It is unclear how clean it is or how pure or anything else, and people injecting themselves. It's very dangerous. But that's there's nothing, there's nothing new to the exercise craze. Every 5 minutes there's a new.
That's true.
Like the vests with electricity, did you hear that? I mean, riding a bike is good for but the vests that zap you.
I know,
it's no different from that thing that shook your butt back in the day.
Well, there's always going to be a new fitness trend around the corner. But let's talk. Like, a lot of these things that you just mentioned, you talk about and you dive deeper into on your show on CNN. Kara Swisher wants to live forever. Is that true? Do you in fact want to live forever?
No, I was because of there were a couple things. One was all the social media stuff that was full of shit that was hurting people and costing people and was dangerous. You know, take this, do this. By people who are non-experts. That was driving me nuts. And then there was all this amazing, at the same time, scientific progress being made because of technology, because of AI, all kinds of things around cancer research and things like that. The possibilities are huge. Hasn't happened, right? It's moving in that direction. Gene folding, CRISPR, all this stuff that's becoming really interesting around drug discovery. The ability someday, some of these mRNA technologies, which are astonishing, which at the same time on social media are being demonized by the top levels of our government, which is really dangerous. And so there's all this great information and it gets messed up with the bad information. And when there's false and true information, the true becomes false.
Absolutely.
And so that was I wanted to sort of show what actual scientists are up to that aren't getting their funding cut by the Trump administration. And then also about what are the smaller things you could do that you don't have to buy back from the industry, which I think, it's nothing wrong with making $1 out of helping people exercise. That's not my issue. It's the nonsense and the overspend and the hopes that you put into people about long life. And that's really was my goal, because our health span and our lifespan are like this.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask that. So what's the distinction for you between
health span is how healthy you are and fit you are, because a lot of our, I think in the United States at least, I don't know what it is here, is 64. And our lifespan is 79, mostly because of men. Men die quicker than women. But you have this gulf of sickness that you are in that doesn't need to happen. You can be well up until your death, essentially. And so collapsing that lifespan, health span, there's a lot of things you could do in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, balance, exercise, walking, all kinds of things that it's like putting $20 in the bank and then later being able to yield it. But in our country, in the United States, compared to say France or other countries, we spend $15,000 per person on health care, and they spend $6,000, $7,000 in peer countries. And we have the worst health outcomes: obesity, all manner of cancers, all manner of this and that. And so I was trying to sort of like, how do you collapse that and save us money and give people better lives until they die?
Also, injecting the longevity conversation with what's missing, I think, is the vitality piece.
Correct, yeah.
What are you going to do with those extra 10 or 15 years?
Yeah, mobility, the ability to move around. And so I was looking at robotics, all this exoskeletons. There's all these manner of things. And eventually they'll print your liver again. Like that's where, you can imagine it, you can do it. It's just, how do you get from there to here to try to solve? There is no cure for death. There is no, death is undefeated so far in world history. And so how do we get there and remain relatively healthy until the final year?
Absolutely.
Which would be amazing.
What's something that you adopted since doing your CNN show? Well,
something that's interesting, I was just noticing. So now, because of GLP-1s and a number of things, processed foods are down. This is the only thing I agree with RFK Jr. on. Well, no shit, Sherlock, about Doritos. We all understand that, including the deleterious effects on our body. Not just that they're bad for you, they're really quite bad for you. But the rise in cottage cheese, for example, is really interesting, right? Cottage cheese, fermented foods. I drink kefir every morning. I don't like yogurt. Yogurt is another thing you can have, with
for microbiome, for digestion.
Fermented foods are absolutely true, but you may not want sauerkraut. It's got a lot of salt in it, that kind of thing. So I drink kefir every morning with, maybe a tiny bit of honey or sweetener of some sort, not too much. And then I try to keep sort of a nice protein during the day. It doesn't have to be a meat protein, but lentils, you can have an avocado. I've changed my diet in that regard.
I just recently released a plant-based cookbook. Do you incorporate more plant-based foods?
100%. I think it's the more you can lean towards it. I get that I happen to like meat, but that's because it's an acquired taste over, a whole lifetime essentially. But lean meats, the ability, this whole protein maxing thing with men is really, it's actually more men now. Women are doing it, right? too much. That's what happens with social media. You've got to get this many. And when you can get it from plant-based, from lentils, from, lentils, there's all manner of things that have a lot of both fiber and protein.
That's the magic combo.
It's of course easier from meat, but it's not necessarily the only way to go.
And what would you say is the most underutilized wellness tool that, could be massively adopted?
Well, there's two things. One is don't be poor. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but poverty is so closely equated with earlier death, like since forever. That's not a new thing, but being wealthy or having money does help, like an enormous amount. I had an argument with one of these billionaires where he was like, well, everyone can get a good night's sleep. I'm like, everyone can't. Like that kind of stuff. So obviously good sleep, you don't have to have as much as people think. It's not 8 hours. It's
what is it?
6.5 to 7.4, I think, of good sleep, like where you're not, like one of the things people, they think they need to go to sleep right away. Actually, going to sleep right away is not as good for you as drifting off to sleep.
And drifting is what, like 10 to 12 minutes?
10 to 12 minutes, right? Not instant. And the same thing is insomnia is a problem too. So good sleep, I would say. These are the little things. Obviously diet, like you were just talking about, a much more plant-based diet, but with plenty of protein, fiber, and less sugar.
And micronutrients.
Micronutrients, especially kefir, those kind of things, fermented foods. But the most important thing you can do is friends and family. I know it sounds crazy, but all the scientific evidence points to social connections, friends and family. Don't have a chatbot boyfriend, that kind of stuff. Like, no, but people
it's true
about it, but it's a crazy.
We are of the time, for sure.
But people are moving into these synthetic relationships that are very bad for us, health-wise, from mental-wise and health-wise, are really bad because they're seamless relationships with no friction whatsoever. So social connections, encounters with people you don't know every day. On the way here, the reason I was late was because I talk. Everyone stops me. I talk to them. Like it's one of these silly things you can do for yourself. Have an encounter with a barista, have an encounter with the clerk, have an encounter with someone you've never met. They're all incredibly good for your mental state. And one thing my son does naturally is whenever he sees someone, he goes, how is your day going? Watch someone, do it for a week and watch what people do. They go like this. And like a job like yours has enormous social implications. You're constantly interacting with people. And I think in this digital age, and something I've been chronicling for years, it is so deleterious to our health. I mean, it can be helpful in a lot of ways, but at the same time, the constant strolling, and not just doom scrolling, just scrolling. It's so bad for our psyche to be isolated. And that's number one, social connections.
What's something that you stopped doing through this wellness lens?
Sugar. I'm trying. That's my, I don't eat a lot of sugar, but it's hidden all over the place. Processed foods for sure, like Greek yogurt I eat versus the right kind of yogurt, for example. I don't like yogurt as much as kefir, so kefir's just is an easy fix for me. I happen to like it. But stop seeing all the hidden stuff in foods. Try to, I'd recommend Michael Pollan's book, Eat Food, Mostly Plants, Not Too Much, right? That kind of stuff. Eating on a regular basis, I would say. Trying to sleep more. I don't get enough sleep.
What are young parents supposed to do given this list, right? Because I can imagine a listener being like, okay, great, Kara, I got it. How the hell do I fit it all in?
Don't immediately get on the phone when put the kids to bed. Don't give the kids a habit of using their phones. It's happening all over the country. I mean, look at schools right now. They're pulling phones out of schools. There's nothing worse for kids, for their health, than to be constantly on their phones. I mean, it creates a lifetime of isolation. And the problem is parents are as addicted as their kids. I think the worst thing we can do is, delve into this digital world in a way that's significant, that creates lack of connections between people. Are the answer to people. And for young parents, go to sleep right when your kids do. Try to get, or at least one of you get the sleep. Kids aren't up 24 hours. They do go to sleep, not always.
So you have two older sons.
By the way, having kids is great for you too. Like you talk about
I mean, they have infused, I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they've infused my life with so much joy.
But it's tiring.
And it's chaotic and exhausting.
Which is actually good for you.
Yes.
Doesn't mean you have to have kids.
I don't regret it one bit. But you have two older, you have kids on either end of the spectrum. You have young kids and you have young adults. And
And what are you telling the young adults about the job market in AI?
Well, it's interesting because both my kids have jobs that are actually a little AI proof. My son is a cook, and so that's very hard. There's not going to be a robotic cook anytime soon. And so he's working in a restaurant right now. He's working on a political campaign because I want him to be engaged. But this is a friend of ours is running, and maybe he'll go into that. But he does door knocking. I know it sounds, but he's really friendly, and so he's really good at this. And he cooks, and so he's in a kitchen. There's community. My other son is a techie, and he goes to University of Michigan, and he's working in mechanical engineering. So one of the things he's doing is doing stuff by hand. So it's very much, it's not as easy. AI is actually additive to his job versus subtractive. He did not go into computer programming because he saw very early that AI would be replacing software engineering. And the 7 and 5-year-old don't have to work at least for another year. But I keep them off of screens as much as I can. I really do. You know, not like they watch Frozen. There's just no way around it. And I watch television. It didn't hurt me that much, right? That kind of stuff. But I don't use it I try not to use it as a babysitter as much as I can. And I think all parents know that. They know what they're doing. They need a minute and a break, and that's okay.
Totally. And where do you think, to combat the loneliness epidemic, where is the average person finding community if they don't, they're no longer part of the bowling league?
Right. Well, they should be part of the bowling league. I don't, but you could be part. Like one of the things when I started covering online early, one of the first groups of people I met were quilters who met online on AOL, and they'd become friends over. And that's a friendship. And then they met together to talk in person, and so it was the perfect mix of online and offline, as they had these offline relationships and online relationships. And I remember being so struck by that because a lot of these people couldn't find other people. I mean, how many people can you find that like quilting in your own community? And so I thought that was actually a useful use of online. And I think one of the things that's important is to try to mix things up in your life. I just recently, it's a big trend right now, but this was about a year ago. I just organized a teacher to teach us how to play Mahjong because it was starting to get popular. But I invited 16 people who knew me, but they didn't know each other. And everyone afterward was like, that was fun. And it wasn't Mahjong. Mahjong is fun, but that's not why it was fun. It was because people...
It was the group.
It was the group. And it sounds dumb, but everyone came to me and were like, I feel better. And you actually physically do. Like if you actually tested people right then, not that you should, who cares, but you know it. Most humans know this.
What are you most excited about right now? Like personally, professionally?
I think probably trying to stay healthier longer. I have 4 kids. I want to be there to meet my grandchildren, to be cogent and everything like that. And so it's really important to me and it's a motivator. But I do think we have to sort of get away from this sort of dunking culture that sort of is represented over the last 10 years of the Trump administration. It's all about besting people and beating them. It's never about lifting each other up. And I think that's getting away, like the Pope, and I'm not religious, but he just gave a speech which he said, enough of the bullying, enough of the pushing around, enough of the dunking. And the word in Italian is basta. My family's Italian. And I thought, yeah, fucking basta.
I think that's the mic drop.
No. But more Peloton.
More Peloton.
I love Peloton. I have my Peloton. I love my Peloton.
Thank you. Well, a lot of what you're saying,
but I like going to I don't like doing it by myself at home.
Interesting. Well, I see all the time the people who are connected virtually on the leaderboard, and again, they'll have tags like knitters of Peloton, quilters of Peloton, and then they will meet up in London or in New York City or in their local, retail space, and it makes me so incredibly happy.
Not the leaderboard or something like that. But I actually like being in person.
Well, you're always welcome in person.
Well, I'm going to be in the back row.
Okay.
In the back row.
With your glasses on?
Yeah, I'm in the back row, way back row, hiding. And the leader always finds me. Like, you in the back row with the glasses. I'm like...
Just cover up. Are you lifting weights?
Yes, I am. That's the other thing. For old people who are older, and I am older, is weightlifting is really important. Not excessive. Like, weightlifting, stretching. If you notice all these stretch labs all of a sudden, which is...
I like it just because if it's going to ritualize it for you.
Yes, ritualize it. But definitely strength training is the most important thing anyone over the age of 40 should be doing on some level, and guided correctly initially. So at least, because I go to the gym and I have a trainer. I really do, because I do know I'll mess it up. And it's worth the money for me to do that.
Yeah.
But I do learn when I'm away what to do and what not to do. But one of the things that drives me crazy is watching people lift wrong.
I know. It pains me.
It's like, and also working I started running again on a treadmill.
Love that.
Which I love, actually. And it was, I really got back to that. And it's one of those meditative states. I'm not a good meditator, so you should meditate, but I can't. I run instead. One should. It's good for you.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Well, it's 100% good for you. There's no question. But it's like some things I just can't do it.
You got to know yourself well enough to know where you're going to put your energy into.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for putting your energy into Project Swagger. Thank you. I'm so grateful for you. Thanks for your leadership.
Thanks.
I love the Mahjong group. Do y'all play Mahjong? Spill the tea. Do I need to get on the Mahjong train? And I know there are lots of cultures that have been doing this for a really long time. Can I come in? Can y'all teach me Mahjong, please? I'm so down. That and knitting are kind of on my short list of activities for future Robin. So let me know if you're in. I would be a super newbie. I literally know nothing. That is my takeaway from my conversation with Kara. Community is just as important as your workout, nutrition, and sleep routine. Let's take that into our weeks. In the next episode, y'all know I am training for my 28th marathon, so I am sharing the 10 rules I never break. These rules will level up any fitness routine, whether you are training for a marathon, a 5K, or just life. That is out Tuesday, July 28th. See you soon.